Dr. William Walsh. He's the author of the Food Allergy Book. Dr. Walsh was trained at the Mayo Clinic, and he's now an allergy specialist who's in St. Paul, Minnesota. Good morning, Dr. Walsh. Thank you for being with us.
Good morning, Steve. Good to be with you.
A lot of us have allergies, and we have allergies to a variety of things, but this book focuses in on food allergies. And I want you to kind of, at the beginning of the program today, set up what is a food allergy? How do you define food allergies?
Oh, food allergies are really quite common, Steve. Food allergies are, as the term indicates, when a person reacts to food that they eat. And this is very, very common. I see many patients. My patients are referred to me by family practitioners and internists and pediatricians, and they usually have complicated allergies. Maybe their nose is stuffy all year round, or they have a lot of abdominal pain or migraine headaches, other chronic illnesses. And whenever you have patients like that, then you have to consider the fact that not only are they reacting to the common allergens of dust, mold, and pollen, but also that they're reacting to foods. In the foods that they react to can be many.
I don't really hear a lot of people talk about food allergies. I guess when you have children, sometimes you think your kids have trouble with something, but as adults, most of us don't talk about foods that we're allergic to. We may say something like, well, my stomach didn't like that, or it didn't take well with my system. But are you saying that sometimes when maybe we have a little problem with the food, it's actually an allergic reaction?
Oh, it sure can be. Allergies that are common things in life that you eat that you can react against, and that includes many foods. It includes many illnesses, too. Pardon me, just a minute. Pardon me, I have something stuck in my throat. I'm sorry to be coughing.
That's okay.
Yes, some people know that they're allergic, but there are tremendous numbers of people who just have absolutely no idea that they're allergic to foods. We see this particularly in our patients who have sinus and migraine headaches. So often they're set off by foods, and they just have absolutely no knowledge of it. These hidden food allergies are why food allergy tends to be so mysterious. One of the things that makes food allergy mysterious for people and hard for them to determine is that you think of food allergy as being one single illness, but actually there are two types of food allergy. And we've already been covering one, the MSG part of food allergy. You can have food allergy to the content of food, with MSG content being one of the chemicals in food that you react against. If you react against MSG, it's also likely that you would react against low-calorie sweeteners. Also, if you had too much sugar or too much acid in your diet, you'd react against that. So that's one of the types of food allergy, and there's a second type, and this everybody's familiar with. That's when you react against the food itself. I think you're certainly aware that many people are terribly allergic to peanuts, and if they have even a little bit of peanut, they will go into a shock.
Like a shock, right.
And that's a second type of food allergy. And because there are two types of food allergy, people just get overwhelmingly confused, and it prevents them from learning how to treat their own food allergy.
Okay, so you're saying this isn't just the type of peanut-type allergy where a person can never have it and go into shock. That's one type, but you're talking about a second type, which is more of a gradual allergy or something that if you eat too much of something, you may have smaller trouble with.
Absolutely. If you go beyond your tolerance for it, I mentioned that monosodium glutamate, or MSG, we all eat some of it because it's natural in foods in low quantities. And that's really no problem because we have the ability to tolerate that level. It's when we start adding it to our cooking, or we go out to a restaurant,
or you combine foods or something like that,
and all of a sudden you have 2 or 3 or 4 servings of MSG flavor food in a day, and then your pounding migraine starts, your tummy hurts, or
you don't sleep at night or something like that.
You don't sleep at night. We see it in the children. You mentioned the children who have abdominal pain and cramping. So often people start thinking about school phobias or other psychological causes, and don't think about foods. And these are just a few illustrations out of many.
My daughter, who's in elementary school, she would have trouble around lunchtime, I noticed she'd get stomach aches and stuff after she ate lunch and she was out on the playground. I wonder how much of that would be a reaction to maybe some of the flavoring that was in the food or something, how they mass produce the food in a school environment.
That would be my first thought if I heard that story in one of my patients, particularly if, in your daughter's case, it's tied right to having the problem right after she eats. Sometimes it's not tied so closely to eating, and then it becomes a little more obscure.
Right. I know you mentioned in the book things that happen, like, for instance, in the middle of the night, maybe you're wide awake or you have trouble sleeping. Maybe it's something that happens a little later, like you get some hives or diarrhea or something, eczema. There's a variety of symptoms, aren't there?
Oh, there really are. I can talk of my own case, Steve. If you've read the book, you're aware of that. I have a lot of trouble with MSG, monosodium glutamate, which I believe most people are aware of. It's a flavoring that's used in food, and it's really a great flavoring, and it really makes the food taste so much better. But I have a lot of trouble with it because it gives me really bad insomnia. And if I have a meal that's flavored with MSG, and if it exceeds my tolerance, which is you can eat a little bit of MSG, but it's so easy for people who are sensitive like me to eat too much of it. And when I have too much of it, which I can never, tell if I have too much of it or not, because you don't know how much MSG is in that food. But I'll know that because the next 2 nights I'll spend the whole night looking at the ceiling and wishing I could sleep.
Now, most of us don't walk out and buy MSG in the store, but we are in a way, aren't we? MSG and some of these natural flavorings are in products. You've got a whole chapter devoted to MSG. Tell people how many things are called MSG, and we just don't know it.
Yeah, this is a huge problem, the amount of MSG in our diet, and people are so unaware of it. People who know that they're allergic to MSG so often, unless they're aware of the source of it, will look just for MSG on the labels, but they don't know that it is proper and okay for manufacturers to list flavorings that have MSG under other names. And they can list it under names like natural flavors. They can natural pork, natural vegetable flavorings, natural soy flavorings. Also, such names like hydrolyzed vegetable protein, autolyzed yeast, sodium caseinate. You almost have to be an attorney when you read labels in order to figure out where that MSG
Well,
is.
sodium caseinate doesn't sound like MSG at all, or hydrolyzed vegetable protein. I know that in tuna they put hydrolyzed protein, if that's how you say it. And so they're actually flavoring the canned tuna with MSG, and we don't know it. We don't recognize it.
We sure don't, Steve. Tuna is a really bad problem, and the fact that you can walk, I do that at times. I'll go down the aisle of a grocery store and look from one product to the next to see what's in it, and there'll be like 8 or 9 brands of tuna on the shelf, and only one is made without MSG.
Right. So it's very difficult to go shopping for you, I would assume, and for your patients as well.
It really is. It really is.
We're going to talk today about some of the other foods that you say people have allergies to, and I'm amazed. The listeners are going to be amazed as well. Potatoes, corn, carbonated beverages, and believe it or not, vitamins. And this is where Dr. Walsh won me over, because I've told my wife for a couple of years that I have problems with vitamins. I've tried to take vitamins. I've tried to supplement, my diet with vitamins. But every time I take vitamins, I feel sick. And so here I'm reading Dr. Walsh's book, and sure enough, Dr. Walsh says that very often we have allergic reactions to vitamins. Why is that, Dr. Walsh?
That I can't exactly define very well.
So you don't know why, but you just know that people do.
Right. I should state, first of all, that I believe in vitamins. I think that they're great. I think that they're a great improvement, and for people who can tolerate them, I encourage them to use it. But there's a lot of people who can't tolerate it and aren't aware of it because vitamins can act on them like they act on me. I'll take particular types of vitamins, especially multivitamins, and it might not be until about the end of the week that I start to get sick from them.
Yeah.
I feel like I have the flu in my stomach.
Yes, that's same with me, and I could never figure out why. My wife, of course, thought I was crazy, but That's not unusual. So
No.
And you're saying that this is more typical than we imagine.
Mm-hmm. It is really more typical.
Dr. William Walsh for the Food Allergy Book as we continue on Winzenburg on the Weekend on News Radio 1040 WHO. Dr. Walsh, you say in the book that our bodies sometimes crave what we're allergic to.
Oh, it's really true.
I find that very strange. Why?
I find it strange, too. I've been in practice for many years, and I have never gotten over the strangeness of that. We really crave the foods that bother us the most.
Why? I just don't get that.
That one, I don't even have a theoretical thought of why that happens. It's almost like there's a self-destructive genie inside of us saying, boy, let's feed him this, and
so it's very hard when you do tests or you find out that some of your patients have allergies. I'll give an example here with corn. I cannot believe that you're telling me that people have a big problem with corn. I am addicted to corn. I love popcorn. I have popcorn every single night. But if I have a problem with that and you tell me to get off it, I don't know if I ever could.
No.
And you probably have patients like that too, right?
Well, I do, and my approach to it is, first of all, I agree with your liking it, and I appreciate the fact that you have this desire for it. What we try to do is convince people, let them convince themselves that it's true. If you have a particular symptom, let's say that you have a lot of trouble with stomach troubles, pain or something, we try to convince you, if you like popcorn and eat a lot of it, to just not eat it for a week, then go back to eating it and look at it yourself. And if you see enough change to make you want to start limiting it, then you will. But going back to the thought of the craving, that is such an odd thing. I often facetiously tell my patients that we could just line them up as new patients at the door and just ask them, which food do you like the best? And say, don't eat it. We wouldn't have to take a history of it.
Isn't that fascinating?
I know it. I don't know why. We must all have a little self-destructive something inside of us.
Let's go to the phone lines. Carolyn, you're up first with Dr. William Walsh. Hi, Carolyn.
Hi, Dr. Walsh.
Hi,
my grandson has a peanut allergy.
Yeah.
And what my question is, several years ago I heard that Johns Hopkins was working on a vaccine for this. I have not heard anything since then. Do you know of any progress made on this?
Yeah, there are injections you can take for peanut allergy, and there are articles in the literature. It's a little scary because you can have a reaction to the injections as you do to the peanut, and so that's not a treatment that's widely known.
Well, as I understand, this vaccine was entirely different from the regular allergy injections.
Yeah, it hasn't been released yet for us. A lot of times you'll hear about what's happening in the lab 10 years or more before it's really out.
Oh, I see.
Carolyn,
so in the meantime, we keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah, Carolyn, I suppose you have to really read labels, don't you? Because I noticed that a lot of labels say, even though there's not peanuts in the ingredients, it says at the bottom may contain peanuts, even though there's no peanuts in the product.
That's right.
Or maybe it was processed in equipment that used peanuts before that.
That's right, and it's in the hidden places where you get into trouble, like cross-contamination.
Right.
And like in donuts, somebody will use the same spoon in a batter that they've used peanut butter in.
Carolyn, I went and bought a donut once, or I know what it was, banana bread at a local grocery store, and they did not list nuts as an ingredient. And I have a daughter who has a problem with nuts, and we cut a piece, and sure enough, there were nuts in it. So I went back to the store. I was mad that this was a store-made bread that they made right there, and that they did not list it properly.
Right. We had the same experience. Yeah, exactly.
So you got to be really careful.
Yes, you do, and it's very, very frightening.
Yeah.
We keep the EpiPen.
Yes.
And so does the preschooler, and they're scared to death of him.
Yeah, I bet.
So we're really hoping the vaccine will be a wonder drug.
Thanks, Carolyn.
Thank you.
Dr. Walsh, do kids grow out of these allergies?
Some they do grow out of, like milk and wheat and other allergies they can grow out, but typically not the bad ones like peanuts.
We're going to go back to the phone lines, and Ken, you're up next. Hi, Ken.
Hi.
What's your question?
I have two allergies, formaldehyde, which is bad enough in itself, but then the corn allergy you were talking about. And my question is, I do not have near the problem with corn itself. It's when it's processed, the corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup, cornstarch, corn meals, that type of thing. Can you explain to me why I can eat fresh corn, canned corn, it doesn't bother me so much, but then when it's processed into these other...
Okay, so Dr. Walsh, why would he have a problem with processed corn but not the regular corn?
Well, corn's a little bit unusual, Steve. and Ken, we have many people who are allergic to corn, but they can eat corn as long as they cook it really well until it's soft, not firm, but real soft. And they can have canned corn because that typically is softer corn. But they react with when there's corn on the cob or popcorn, which are not as boiled in whatever boiling does.
But he's saying he has the opposite problem with that.
Well, he's mentioning that he can eat corn, I think he said. And then when he's also talking about his processed form, and that's actually a form of sugar. And I had mentioned earlier that the people who react to content of food often really react to refined sugar. And sugar is one of the ingredients of corn, and many of the corn products are high in sugar, and so it's more likely at that point that he's reacting not only to corn but also to the sugar content.
So his allergy may be to sugar, not to corn.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, it's just kind of combined, and that makes it confusing for him. So what would he have to go through in order to discern what his exact allergies are? What kind of program do you put people on? Well, when we're dealing with what we suspect is a sugar allergy, what I'll do is to put people on that same diet that is in the Food Allergy Book, and they follow it for 2 weeks, and then go back and start eating corn, sugar, and other refined corn products, and see if it's the sugar part of it that's bothersome for them.
So it's trying to eliminate what the problem is. You're trying to figure out which one the problem is and then get it out of your diet.
Right. Most people can actually figure out their own food allergy if they just have enough information, which is the reason I wrote this book, to try to give them enough information so that they can start to determine this themselves.
Yeah.
And then what Ken can do, for instance, is to eat well-boiled corn versus corn on the cob or popcorn, and that'll give him a feeling of his corn reaction. And then by looking at the refined sugar part of it, he then will get a feeling for whether he reacts to refined sugar too.
Betty, you're up next with Dr. William Walsh. Hi, Betty.
Yes, 2 comments, please. First, I have heard that if a baby is breastfed, they have less chance of getting allergies. And then the other is my poor son-in-law with this terrible asthma. When he gets an attack, he has to go on a machine or he dies. Is there any connection between his asthma and food allergies allergies he might have?
I can tell you yes, just from reading Dr. Walsh's book. Go ahead, Dr. Walsh.
Yeah, there is to some degree. Typically, though, asthma that bad usually comes from environmental sources. We'd have to, if you were my patient, I'd look very closely into the home environment to see if he's living in a moldy house.
He lives out in Arizona.
Oh, okay. Then he's out of our area.
Too bad he can't be in wonderful Iowa.
Yeah, right.
I'm staying here till I die.
But Dr. Walsh, what I saw in your book is that, yes, food allergies can combine with other things to make your asthma much worse.
You sure can. And when he gets to the point where he's actually going to the hospital, one food allergy that I would worry about very much would be MSG, because that can give you just tremendous attacks.
Okay, then she asked about breastfed babies, right?
That's not so well determined. The many studies in the literature, and they tend to argue against each other and come out with somewhat different thoughts. Breastfeeding is worthwhile and to be something to be encouraged, but there's no close tie between it and not having allergies.
Okay. Thanks, Betty. And another thing, Dr. Walsh, that I noticed is that sometimes people who put their babies on formula, the babies end up having allergies to some of the things in the formula. If you read the ingredients on those formula containers, they've got all sorts of things that kids could possibly be allergic to.
Yeah, they sure do. And, of course, milk allergy, Steve, is so common, as you're aware, that cow's milk, I mean.
Yeah.
And that it can give them trouble.
One more question. Doctors can be very skeptical of patients who walk in and say, "Doctor, I think I have an allergy to potatoes or to strawberries or to chicken." Doctors just kind of, frown and roll their eyes and think, "Oh, brother, here's the patient diagnosing himself again." How can we deal with our doctors? We don't all get to come see Dr. Walsh up in St. Paul. How do we deal with our own doctors when we suspect we have an allergy?
Good question. It's something that frustrates me, too. I see people who have been allergic for 10 years to food, and nobody's even thought of allergy. And I have had other people come who say their doctor has told them that this is all in their mind. It's psychological. And there's really reason, and it's not that way. What people have to do is they have to become aware, they have to read, they have to understand allergy, and then they have to do little experiments that they can do in their own diet to determine their own diet. Because their doctors is more trained in delivering babies or treating heart attacks or treating pneumonia, and may not have enough depth of knowledge of allergy to really help them.
Or I know people who've gone to allergists and had these pinprick tests done.
Right.
And they claim, well, no, I'm not allergic to dogs or I'm not allergic to peanuts because the pinprick test didn't show that, but they still may have those allergies, right?
And they really might, too, and one of the big reasons is the same thing we talk about in the Food Allergy Book, and that's that they can be reacting not to the food itself, but its content of sugar or citrus or MSG.
Yeah, so something else there. Dr. William Walsh is the author of the Food Allergy Book, and Dr. Walsh, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule for us.
Thanks, Steve.